What is this? Is this the outside world? I've been locked up in my office for 3 straight days. It's a Friday, so it's not really a day at work, but it's a day at work. Also, the team is probably not going to be there. It's probably just going to be me. And Testo's in for half a day at least. At least I'm getting out and about. Also, this is the first time we've been allowed this week, obviously I haven't been in the office, we've been allowed to wear shorts in the office, and I've kind of had that debate being like, am I going to be too cold? And I'm like, no, our office is literally a furnace that doesn't have properly working air conditioning, so I'll probably be okay. The fever is also pretty bad today, and I want to read my book, hence why I'm busting. Really cold this morning, but it's going to be hot later. Don't be nervous. Also, I'm expecting a lot of comments about my odd shoes. It's a lot more noticeable when I'm wearing shorts. Walking in by the river because it's in the sun, that's how cold it is. I've got something for lunch that isn't a Pret cheese and pickle. Tried to remember to park the car underneath a tree. It's so hot, and the car is going to be on fire. That bagel was gosh dang delicious. It was bloody expensive, but it was pretty nice. A great day today, socialising. There weren't many people in the office because this work from home policy is fucking mental. But I had a great time. So I was talking to Steve and Gary, living the dream. I managed to finish off what I was doing, managed to get it deployed to dev, and we spotted an issue with it. But this really annoying requirement of being like, oh, I want to be able to navigate away and save if I haven't started the step. I'm like, it causes so much grief, man. I thought I had a fix. I thought I had a bit of a fixy poo for it, but it doesn't look like I do, unfortunately. So, it's not like universal enough. And then on top of that, I've got a Rive problem. Fuck a Rive dog. So yeah, living the dream. But I'll fix that up tomorrow, probably, is my plan. But yeah, so that was a jolly good fun time. Otherwise, this evening, been helping Laura out with some work, playing a bit of Fortnite, and that's about it. I've failed miserably at waking up the past 2 days, so we're going to wake up tomorrow, hit it hard, get back on the work train, do some of my own work, maybe do some overtime work, who knows. I think, like I said, I've got these 2 bugs to fix, and then if I just punt them up and get them deployed, I can then chuck them over to the testers, and then in theory, Monday morning, merge. That's my plan. I don't really have much else to do apart from fix those bugs. I have an idea of how to fix it, I just don't know what the performance ramifications are of watching objects like that. You know? The option is to, here's the 2 things I'm thinking about, watching the entire object and flicking a setting once you've changed something, at which point you are now, validation is on. The problem is, in theory, you can undo what you did. So I need to be able to keep a state of when it's like now. I've hit the page, this is what it is. If it changes off of this state, validation's on. If it goes back to it, validation's off. 10.5 hours of programming today. Oh, that's 8.5 of my stuff, 2 hours of overtime. Getting a story to the point where it's like just over the line, so it could just be like signed off and merged. Otherwise, I've been working on service fabric stuff, and I lost about 2.5 hours of my day today trying to figure out why it wasn't able to build C# 7.1 stuff. So if you build all of the solutions within the service fabric, it's fine. If you build the service fabric solution, while it's building all of the ones underneath it, it would fail. And it was because I'd set it to use the latest version of Visual Studio 2017. And what I should have done is say, hey, use Visual Studio 2017. It'll work fine. It's frustrating. But I'm at the point now where all of my sagas and stuff are being listened to. I'm having troubles, which I think is a difference between mass transit and N-Service bus. I'm used to N-Service bus, but I'm using mass transit, where it appears to be, if I debug it, the order in which it handles the messages is problematic. i.e. it doesn't wait for the first one to finish before it starts the second one, which I think N-Service bus would do, because basically I've got the API is the thing raising the events, and the Saga should go, oh, I've done first one, bang, there you go, cool. And if it hasn't started the first one, it shouldn't have done the second one, you know. And by started, I mean finished. So I've got to figure that out. And I'm also having problems picking up the command once it's been sent from the... So the Saga then raises a command to the domain to say, sort some shit out for me, please. And that just won't work. So I need to figure out what's going on with there. But otherwise, chilled out day to a certain extent. We had to do some shopping. It's way too hot. Way too hot today. But also watched Formula 1, which was good. I had some wine. I helped Laura with some work as well this morning. It's been a very, very worky day. Very, very worky. I'm very, very tired too. It's another very, 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 very hot day today. We've kind of been lucky so far because it's been relatively like a clear nights. So it's cooled down a bit, but tonight and slash for the next couple of days it's threatening to thunderstorm, which is always the worst because if it just rained it would cool down and it would be all done with, you know. It is like fucking sweating hot. It's not nice at all. It's like 28 degrees out in here. It's grim. So today we went swimming, which was jolly good fun. I keep saying that I've been trying to go swimming at the weekend and never really like managed to pull the trigger on that, but we went today. Laura came as well. Did about 700 metres, and then on the 25th, that I had 25 metres there, I was like, I'm going to do this fast. And I tried to do it as fast as I can, it was like a rocket, and then nearly passed out, so that was good. The problem is that I can still swim quickly, and I actually find it difficult to swim slowly, to be honest with you. But when I swim quickly, I find it very difficult to slow my heart rate down. I used to be able to slow my heart rate down, and I can control my breathing. I can slow my breathing down really easily, but I can't slow my heart rate down. So that wasn't great. It's a good job Laura came, to be honest. So then otherwise today we've been chilling. We've watched a bit of Formula 1, been doing some programming on my laptop, and on Atlas. I'm trying to get my bloody service bus thing working. It just won't work. And I've like managed to add app insights to it and log in to see what it's doing, and then try to get it run on my laptop, and I just can't run on my laptop. And I'm not sure why. So that's very annoying. So I'm watching The Alienist tonight, which looks good. Not really heard many people talk about The Alienist, but it looks pretty fucking good, so we'll see. Otherwise, relatively chilled out day, a little bit of work here, there and everywhere, and programming on, you know, just trying to stay cool as best as possible. It's going to be a very, very close night tonight. Grim. Right. No. What I was about to do then, no. Back to work tomorrow. Nice air-conditioned office, that's all you got to think about. Please. Get my longboard into work today, not the whole way, because I don't think my hay fever could hack it, but just the bit for the park and ride to work. Kind of thinking I might just change the wheels back to the all-terrain tyres, because they are so much more fun. They're so much more practical, they just don't go as far. And I don't need them to go very far if I do this instead of go the whole way in, you know? Basically, until hay fever dies down, I just go AT style. Does that sound like a plan? Also, it's probably coming to a time where I have to clean out the bearings and stuff on it, because it is like really dusty, like real dusty. I was working away last night, it was pretty bloody warm, it was so humid. It didn't really cool down until like 4 in the morning, and then it just like cooled a little bit. It wasn't like in any way, shape or form cool. I was in like pyjama shorts and that's it, but it was tolerable at that time. Been working on my Saga stuff, which is jolly good fun. There's a shitload of messages to go back and forth though. I'm now working on expiry of credentials so that we can manage your credential expiry nicely. And that's what I'm working on at the moment, basically. And I've started, because I've kind of, I obviously do a lot of programming. I sit in front of the computer a lot. At work, I listen to music a lot. At home, I get sick of listening to music because I listen to music all the time. So I've started like not rewatching, but watching some of the series that I know me and Laura don't want to watch. So just putting things on in the background, like 13 Reasons Why. We got halfway through that series and then just left it. And we got loads of series that we started, decided was trash, and that's the kind of trash that I could put on in the background. So I like set up my Surface Book, turn the screen around so it's in like the opposite way around, so it's nice and flush, and then just put on some background music, background chatter, and then put my old headphones on, you know, because I kind of prefer that to podcasts. I find listening to podcasts quite distracting when I'm at work, when I'm like trying to program and concentrate, but for some reason having a TV program to watch is less so. Is that weird? I cannot put into words how fucking hot it is. Holy shit. It's like, it's 30 degrees. Feels like way more than that, but god damn. In the car, got aircon on blast. Come back in here and it's like, I want to be back in the office where it's cold. If we stay tomorrow and like get him to buy us dinner. God damn. Gosh, it's like, well, apparently Google says it's 22 degrees outside. It's so humid. Get that breeze in. God damn. It's the hottest it's been, I think. So, my lord. Just had a refinement session today, and I got the thing I was working on merged in, so I'm now starting the next thing. I was going to work from home tomorrow, but I'm thinking I'm just going to go into the office because it's air conditioned. Is that mental? I think that's what I'm going to do. And Wednesday as well. I've got to work there on Wednesday, but I don't have to tomorrow. I'll see how I feel when I wake up, basically. Anyway, what else have we done today? Not much. I've been helping Laura out with some work. And that's about it. Trying to survive the heat. Cooked another soup today. We started making like lots of Thai soups, which are pretty nice. Although, what I've noticed is they smell horrendous. While you're cooking it, it stinks. It's just like fucking vile. Like it almost smells like sick. But then you taste it, it tastes completely different. It's crazy. So it's like chicken stock, lemongrass, shitload of lime, shitload of fish sauce, shitload of ginger, shitload of chili flakes, and some other stuff like sugar and salt and coriander or whatever. And then you boil it for like 8 minutes, reduce it, and then reduce it. It doesn't reduce by much, it's a shitload, it's soup. And then you strain all the shit out of it, then put it back, and then you cook everything in it. So mushrooms, pork, job done. Just boil it in the soup basically. And it stinks. Then you have it. It tastes completely different. It tastes absolute, like, all you can smell is lime. Boiling hot lime, which isn't nice. Oh, and like lime leaves as well, not just lime. And lemongrass, there's a shitload of citrus. But then you eat it, it's chili. It just tastes like chili. Well, not chili, like spicy, not limey. It's incredible. Hopefully these trees provide enough cover so the car doesn't melt by the time I get back. Deliberately parked in like the overflow part of the car park, just for the benefit of those trees. Totally worth it. Look at that. Yeah, boy. It's going to be nice and cold. Oh, never mind. I hate how you can't have any lights on when the windows are open, because shit just flies in. Really freaking irritating. Relatively productive day today. Semi-productive evening as well. I do need to start ramping up what I do in the evenings, but we'll be able to do that at some point soonish. What was I going to say to you? I was going to say something. I had some bit of news today. I don't know. I was gonna, you know what? I'm fucking gonna say something. I can't remember. But either way, I'm sick of how hot it is. Which means you have to have the windows fully open. Which means you can't have any lights on because shit flies in them. Irritating. Doing my head in. Just everything about the hot weather is starting to really fuck me off. Fuck. So you know that I've been working on this Saga thing for the past couple of days now. What I'm essentially doing is allowing the user to register something onto my platform. They register something, they add like how to connect to it, and then they can delete how they can connect to it, update how they connect to it, and then delete the whole thing in general. And a Saga, for a brief explanation of what Sagas are, they're quite a theoretical construct. There's not like a set defined thing that a Saga is, but in theory it's a way of managing the life cycle of something. Obvious one is a shopping cart. It's normally the example people use. You create the shopping cart, you add things to the shopping cart, and then you can have things like a timer that will sit and wait for the shopping cart to expire, and then it will bin off all of your stuff. Or you get to the end and then you take the shopping cart through to the checkout, and then that's the next state of the Saga, and then it just like follows the state all the way until the time that you purchase it, in which case the whole Saga's been purchased, it's now sold somewhere else. It's quite like I say, a theoretical thing. It's mainly used in like message buses and long-running asynchronous processes and all that kind of shit, rather than other things. But in theory, you could do it on just like a REST endpoint if you wanted to. At work, we use N-Service Bus. N-Service Bus is like the main one. It's the big boy that people use in the .NET world. But the like licenses are like ludicrous. It's free, but any kind of monitoring stuff is ludicrously expensive. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna play with Mass Transit, because I've never played with Mass Transit before, and I like learning new shit, and it's completely free and completely open source. So I've done it in a couple of different scenarios. I have things like my security service uses Sagas to, when you register new people onto the platform, it's like, okay, so for example, you create an account, I send you an email to verify it, storing your state until the point where you verified your email, all managed by the Saga. When you add, yeah, basically that, and that bounces between two different microservices. So the security service is doing the security stuff, the party service is doing all of your like information that's not security related stuff. Except I haven't got to the point of making that Saga short-lived yet. Because in theory it's short-lived. It's very long-lived, but it could end. Every Saga I've written so far is an infinite one. It will just stay in the database forever. However, I want to do deletes now, so I need to come to the point where I'm completing the Saga, and I've just realised that I fucked up. I've just been doing like a bare bones Saga without a state machine in mass transit, because you don't need a state machine in. It's just a difference in the way that in-service bus and mass transit do things. And it's impossible to complete. I've been looking to how to complete it and remove it from the database, and without directly interfacing with the database myself, I can't do it. And that's something you're not supposed to do. You let the Saga manage its own state, and you just, like, how it's stored is literally add NuGet package, bang, that's it. Like, you don't fuck about with that. In theory, you never read the database, you just interact with the Saga state at the top level. So, what I've now discovered is I need some kind of what do they call it? They call it autonomous, I think, state machine, which manages the state of the object, and you can see, you'll put it through states. You go from created to active to deleted, or created to active, shopping cart, purchasing, delivered, etc. And I fucked up because now I need to wind that in, and like everything I've done for the past however long, past couple of days, I need to kind of back out. Well, not back out, the logic is fine, I just need to move it somewhere else into this state machine instead. And like the syntax of it is all completely different, because it's like dynamically built up instead of how I know Sagas from in-service bus world. And essentially a Saga in in-service bus world is just a load of message handlers, effectively, on one item, and that item is the Saga. But yeah, in this world it's like this abstract thing, which makes a lot of sense when you read it. And I've been reading, basically my evening tonight has been reading documentation rather than doing anything, trying to figure out what the fuck I need to do. I think that's probably the best way, is iron it out, draw it out on a piece of paper. I get pen and paper out, pen and pencil out, and pencil and paper out, and figure out what it's doing. What time is it? Oh, it's 4:30. I fancy a cup of tea. So I'm gonna have an apple. I don't want a cup of tea. But yeah, I'm like relatively annoyed. I'm like, surely there is just, because essentially the Saga the other way is you create a initialized by, and then it's .consumes, orchestrates, and in Service Bus world you just have one of the orchestrates and you just do this .complete, bang, and it's just dealt with. But in this world it's not as simple, but it seems a lot more, not flexible, because it's not more flexible, but there is like an orchestrated API that you use rather than here's a message processor, handle it yourself, quote unquote. Part of me is thinking like, should I stick with mass transit at this rate? Should I just go to a service bus? I think that's for sissies. So let's go. Also, this really doesn't look as testable as my way. There is actually a high chance of rain today, but I drove in anyway because I'm meeting Laura. She has a meeting this afternoon in Bath, so I'm going to take her back in the car. She's training in and driving her back. Also, when I had a shave this morning, I like nicked my lip. Never done that before, but it like properly went like that, and it sliced my lip open. So I'm not happy about it. Otherwise, last night was a semi-significant amount of time trying to figure out how this thing would work. And I'm trying to read all the documentation and wrap my head around this. Well, it's kind of like automatic. It's a shit name. Autonomous? No, it's not that. Metonymous. It does look good. If I can figure out a way of testing it properly, it does look good, and it looks like it might solve a problem I'm going to have in a different world later, so happy about that. Changed into my pyjama top so that because we cooked stir fry with like noodles, and we had begins with an S, Szechuan sauce with it. And I saw it and I'm like, that's going to go all over my nice shiny white t-shirt. Put my pyjama top on, but I just changed back into this because I just seem to vlog basically permanently in pyjama tops now. Good day today, finished off a chunk of work and started the next one. I'm going to work from home tomorrow to just start like chipping through that piece of work basically. So that was good. I met Laura after work. She was like running a little bit late, so I tried to have a nap at work before I came back here to have a nap because Laura needed to go netball. Didn't work. As soon as it hit 5 o'clock, like all of a sudden everyone was being really loud. And then like the cleaners were walking around and I just felt a bit uncomfortable. So I didn't sleep. But I picked Laura up, bought Crash Bandicoot, because we're looking for games to play. I've never really played Crash Bandicoot before. I think it's more of a PlayStation thing, isn't it? Oh, the TV's on, which means it's going to take 3 years to change channel. When we move house, I'm allowed to buy a bigger TV. And I'm going to buy one with, I'm going to like, make sure it's actually bloody good and it doesn't take 3 years to change TV sources. Good lord. I need to put the disc in, because otherwise it doesn't download and install, does it? Because like an Xbox as well. That's the next game we're buying. Holy hell! I'll just leave that running, because I'm not allowed to play it while Laura's out. I think it's single player, but we're sad for games like that. But yeah, so productive day at work. I now have a bit of time on my own, so I am going to try and chip through some of this autonomous stuff. What I want or need is a way to test it and like figure out how that effectively like hangs together is my plan. In theory, it's all like why is that noise? I turned you off. In theory, it's all about like just turning raising events, because what it does effectively is sits in between mass transit and itself, and it basically, when it receives a message from mass transit, it just, oh god, good job I came in. Next time, every time it receives a message from mass transit, it raises an event. So in theory I could just raise events, and that's how you call into it. But then how do I mock things that are within it and all that kind of shit, because I need to pass in like mediator and all that garb. So let's get into it. Let's just jump right into it. It's also not true, you're not supposed to interact with things like mediator or databases in Sagas. So all I need to do effectively is raise other events. Problem being that mass transit is sat within it somewhere, and I need to figure out where. I need to figure out where it is and how to inject it in, basically, and mock it out. That's the problem. Okay, I'm making progress. We are getting there with the old what's my doohick that I'm working on. I can wrap a test harness around it, so I've got like an in-memory test harness, and I can fire events at an in-memory message bus, and then it gets picked up and it runs through it. What I can't figure out now is how to get the data out of the data store, because it literally, like, it says it's there and it gives me the GUID that I told it is, but it will only get me the correlation ID. I'm like, why? It literally does find, like, in the source code, it goes find where and then just select correlation ID. And then there's no way to go from correlation ID to data. I've got the correlation ID. I literally look for the correlation ID and you just return me it back again. I don't understand. So I am trying to figure out what's going on with that. Otherwise, I came back, play some Crash Bandicoot. It's good. It's hard, but it's good. Looking forward to playing that. But it's bedtime. I didn't really sleep very well this morning or this evening, so I'm going to have to be extra vigilant on myself to wake up tonight. Probably not going to be productive, so I might have to do something else. But I can just feel it. When I went back from my nap this morning, I didn't really sleep. And when I went, obviously, this evening, I didn't either. So I told you I'd be flagging. My lord, am I tired. I've done like everything I can do as well. 3:30. I've had some biscuits when I woke up. I've had a cup of tea. Apple normally does the trick. That's like my emergency go-to. Apple and a cup of tea. But it's not working, and it's not helped by the fact that it is so warm. I've got my fan on in the office. It's so warm, and I can't for the fucking life of me figure out what's wrong with this thing. And it's one of them things that's like, is it the test harness that's wrong? Or is it the the thing itself. I just can't get it to debug, basically. It's nigh on impossible. And like, no one, I can't find much. Fuck me. My like, maybe we should just do end service bus fears are coming. They're playing, they're niggling. Because I know end service bus, it makes sense. And this is weird. And also lots of people use end service bus. If you know me, I'm not one to drop a ball when the going gets tough. That being said, I don't have much patience. So I get really frustrated really quickly. But I begrudge moving on just because I can't figure it out. But it's overtly complicated compared to end service bus stuff. Yeah, this is one of those scenarios where it's just unproductive as hell and I should just stop. Do something else. It's more important that I stay awake than I solve this problem. But let's think about solving this problem by changing to end service bus, because I think that is the problem is I then have to ripple that across all my microservices. It's a threading issue. It's all a race condition. So it was saving. Basically, I have this thing which gets me the Saga back out of the database, the in-memory database, and as soon as it sees one, it exits. And it's like, okay, cool. But what the code does is it generates the Saga, then sets all the values on it, which obviously is relatively problematic, because then you get to the point where you've already extracted the data and started asserting it before it's even updated it. So I've got that sorted. I just need to figure out now how to make sure that the process I'm running, the process I care about, is finished. In theory it should be acknowledged in some way, but I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Still partially awake. Actually made a bit of a breakthrough last night, got stuff rolling. There are still problems I need to jump over. At the moment I'm relying on the fact that every message on the bus will change the state of the Saga in order to work, because I basically wait for that to change. Does it last? I wait for that to change before I then start validating whether or not the rest has changed. So there's that. The other problem being, so the problem with that is I don't actually necessarily want the state to change, because there are like multiple steps within one state, effectively, and it feels like having states for the sake of no reason. So I'm kind of trying to look for a different way of validating that it's finished processing, and I'm struggling on that one. I also need to figure out how to mock out the message bus when I have the Saga raising more messages, because effectively what the Saga does is you pass one message into it and then it manages like this huge pipeline of other messages and other responses and all this kind of shit, which means it needs to publish events, send commands, and I need to mock that out, obviously. Like I said, there's this weird like test handler which helps, but it just doesn't, it's not perfect, effectively. It's far from it. So there's that. I'm still thinking about swapping back to end service bus, just because I feel like end service bus's solution is a lot simpler. This is like really OTT. So I'm thinking about it, especially if I can't write the correct tests for it. How testable a NuGet package is, or a framework is basically the reason why I would or would not take it. Is like the number one thing on my list is how testable is it? Because if it's testable, it means they've done it properly, you know? It means they've thought about it. The amount of ones that you find that are like just hammed together and are untestable, and you're like, well, anything that I do that touches this, I can't use because I can't test it. There's that. Otherwise, I'm working from home today. I'm chipping away through some stuff. I was planning on forging forward with the last 3 user stories in like one hit. However, a bug has come out of a user story I've just done because both me and the tester didn't fucking notice that the top line of the requirement is like, oh, we just want this really big thing. So fuck, I've got to get that out now, which is going to be great. Which also means diving around in the SQL database to find it. Fuck me, dead. Not about that life. I'm not about the SQL database life. That is horse shit, dog. It's such a mess, man. Rock on MongoDB. My lord, I hate SQL. I'm just like amping myself up to do that effectively now. Woke up from my nap 5 minutes before my alarm went off, because I've got to that stage now where, apart from at night, where I wake up on my alarm at 2 o'clock in the morning. To be fair, yesterday I had quite a obviously bad sleeping pattern. But today, and like normally for my naps, I wake up about 5 minutes before the alarms, because I set a 30-minute alarm to give myself 10 minutes to fall asleep, effectively. But I can fall asleep in about 5 minutes, and I wake up in about 5. And some mornings I just give myself like 5 minutes to fall asleep, and I do it. So I'm good at it. But I woke up this lunch before my alarm went off in sheer panic, because I'm like, holy fuck, how have I managed to sleep through all the way till 1 o'clock? Forgetting that I'd gone for a nap 20 minutes earlier, and I've only had 20 minutes of sleep. I thought I'd been asleep all night. Other news, I've been able to reverse engineer the database to try and figure out where these charges are, and I've pulled them out. I think I've got them from the right place, but I think I might have got them from active charges rather than ones that aren't active yet. Could be a problem, don't know. So during lunch I rendered a YouTube video, so that was pretty good. Well, it's rendered, it's edited. It's working away now. Let's just check actually, because I just had an idea whether or not it's because I'm actively setting that to active. Just take that out a sec. Let's see what that spits back. 9. Query to figure out whether or not that's fine, but I'm starting to just map it back. If it's wrong, then I'll just change the base SQL query. I'm not a fan of SQL. It's just a case of like diving around, trial and error until you find stuff effectively, and then you find it and you build up a map of where it is, and then you build up a map of how to get there. It's not something that comes naturally to me. Walking around putting windows open because it is hot. It's getting warm again. It was nice and, well, I say nice and cool. It was cooler yesterday. It was like, it rained a little bit in Bath and everything. It was lovely. Today, not the case. I should say as well that last night I've started watching more things on Netflix, because there's a lot of programs that me and Laura only watch 1 episode a night, if that. So we're really slow watching things together. So there's loads of things that we don't like commit time to. So if it's not like brilliant, we don't watch it because we don't have time. There's so many good things to watch, we haven't got them. So what I've started to do is now watching the things that we've either given up on or things that we'll never watch. So I'm just watching the tail end of, and I've finished, 13 Reasons Why. Which we started watching and kind of got bored halfway through. And the reason I did it is basically I get sick to death of listening to Spotify. I spend like near 12 plus hours a day sat in front of a computer programming, listening to music. So I get sick to fucking death of music or podcasts. Well, I don't really listen to podcasts. So I've decided to stop putting Netflix on in the background, so watching a bit Doctor Who, watching 13 Reasons Why. 13 Reasons Why was really good. I really like... disappointed that Laura won't watch the end of it, because I thought it was really good. I've only watched series 1. We're going to watch series 2. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it was fucking slow. It was a slow burner, and it's one of them ones that's like, come on boys, this is a bit jazzed up for the sake of being jazzed up, but it was good. I did enjoy it, so I can recommend that to anyone who wants to think it. It was one of the ones that like gets me. It like hit me. Because I'm kind of a bit of a tough nut, you know, a bit of a sociopathic son of a bitch when it comes to like feelings and shit. But there are some programs which just hit me, like Him and Her, comedy program, Pram Face, another one, Love on Netflix, that, all just kind of fucking just jab me in the gut a little bit, you know. Otherwise, what we've done now at work is we've split things down into features, and now I'm working on an entire feature myself, effectively, called Top Up. That's what I'm working on. But I'm going to be working on that. What we used to do was work in sprints, and then each sprint team would have like 5 things to do, and we kind of alternate. So I'd do Top Up while someone else did something else, and then when they'd finished, I'd jump onto something else similar to what they were doing. They'd jump onto something we'd do, and then it'd kind of like share knowledge. But now we're just kind of churning down one list, because in theory it's quicker. But I really hate it. I think I really burn up from like boredom fatigue. I just get so bored of looking at the same shit day in, day out. And it really starts to burn on me a little bit. And I just kind of lose the will to live way quicker than I think I should. Literally, I'm like do the same old shit in the front end, update the same old mappers, save it. Oh yeah, look, great. Oh, it's just tedious as fuck. Just not fun, you know. It's just not fun. Damn, my sequel breaks the Dapper. Dapper's now returning. What's that smell? It smell for heaters or something. The Dapper is, we have this thing where it's returning loads and then it like distincts them because there's like an array underneath it that it generates. And adding my fields on means the distinct doesn't filter it down as best as it can. I can't figure out why. Turns out the data I was getting comes from the wrong tables anyway, so fuck it. I was just like, I messaged someone at work to be like, how are we going to test this? Because I thought, basically, testing ongoing charges, for it to appear in this table, it looked like you had to like accept the charge. Like you'd have to, so basically, if it was monthly, you have to wait a month for it to appear. Or annually. Wait a year. Turns out no. It's in a different table in the database. Which table? Don't know. Couldn't figure out for the rest of the day. Spent the rest of the day trying to figure that out. I couldn't. So, that was irritating. Fucking super annoying. So, otherwise, just had a chilled out evening playing some more Crash Bandicoot, living the dream. It's a bit warm. It was kind of like warm enough to justify having a cold shower. Warm. That warm, you know? Grim. But yeah, I'm going to end this video now anyway, ladies and gentlemen. Going to work tomorrow. Living the dream. It's someone's last day, so we've got lunch. And I am going to be working on the end of this fucking thing while also doing what am I doing? Yeah, trying to figure out this fucking autonomous thing. I forgot about that. I don't want to put on attackers, but I'm thinking MCO's bust. It's the norm, isn't it? So, right, thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I think this video's dragged on a bit, just a tad, but I'll catch you later.